This is Bloomberg, the first word for this Friday, November 14th, 2014. Coming up this hour.
The dollar trades at a 5-year high as oil heads for its longest weekly losing streak since 1986.
The euro area's two largest economies return to growth in the third quarter. Investors in the U.S. wait for the latest data on retail sales.
The Republican-led House is set to vote on the long-delayed Keystone XL oil pipeline, and this time the Senate may go along.
Okay. Hello and welcome in. From Sunnyvale, California, I'm Mark Vierra. This is, haven't done a video in a while. It's just a basic technical analysis, some trend lines and volume. And this week, I don't have a whole lot of conviction or confidence either way. I'd like to, my biggest thing is to try to trade as close to the volume as humanly possible. And right now it's just really low volume. We're trading sideways, as everyone can see on the charts. So let's see. I want to mention HotStockMarket.com. This is where you can find me hanging out. Got my weekly trading log and various threads in here, index and non-index trades. I record all of my trades. And this video is not a buying or selling recommendation, just sharing with you what I'm doing and what I'm looking at in the market. So let's see. Also mentioned Manfred Mika and Google+. Promised him I would try to get a video out. Unfortunately, Manfred, I don't have a lot of important stuff. We're basically trading sideways, but let's see what we got here on the monthly chart. We got 2053 marked at the top of the trend line. It's a spinning top monthly candle. It's a bullish candle. It's feeling out the top of the trend line. And a few things we'll say on sideways here. Switch over to some weekly charts. This is my range. Sideways is a tactic. Institutions, it's a psychological hurdle for one. What else can I say? You can look at the VIX and the low volume too. We could have sideways here for a while, looking at how low the VIX is and the low volume. Just kind of sitting by, waiting for volume. And besides, the psychological aspects of it's a hurdle psychologically to short-term speculation when things are trading in a tight range like this. We've got a few signs. Let's see what we have here on the weekly. I've got the very subjective kind of trend line, that I'm marking out here. Yeah, I'm calling this kind of a range. So the range could widen out. I don't want to go into that one yet. If I go to a daily chart, I'm looking at this as less of a subjective here, capturing these tops, slicing through current, and this is a flat base. It's stomping down a price. And I'm looking at this here as an area of interest. If it breaks below that, we could see something further down. I would probably look at this previous, these previous tops here, and then, further down from that. You see the idea. So, basic trend lines are slightly helpful. Nothing wrong with looking at trend lines. And get it more into the flat base and the implications of a sideways. Here's some moving averages that I'm looking at. Nothing too terribly important here. Just noting the Bollinger Band expansion is remarkable, and I think we're going to see that contracting. Possibly price is going to want to attract to the Bollinger Band, and vice versa. Chart patterns. Now this was a V-bottom, your classic textbook V-bottom reversal. We had volume to support it. I was was all over that. In fact, I was buying more on the way down actually. It's probably not advisable, but I was getting to a psychological point here, and as luck would have it, in any case, looking at the chart pattern here, this is technically what you call a rounding bottom. Okay, your measurements are from this point, and also I'm noting this. I'm going to get this annotation right one of these days. Here we go. Well, somewhat. So this is a flagpole, okay, and this flat base is a high and tight flag. High and tight is probably one of the most reliable flags, and probably for obvious reasons. Price is feeling out and stomping down a base level, and with a low volume, I would say that this is favoring the bulls. So let's see if we can get into some volume here. What else do we have to look at? Where am I going? Let's go to some volume. Now, you'll notice that I'm looking at SPY. This is S&P 500 ETF. Let me, okay. So I wrote back. This was a while back. I wrote this. I'm just sitting back, relaxing. I placed my orders here, and I'm going to my portfolio later. I got my principal out already, so I really, I don't have really much to lose. So, climax volume. I think if we look at, and again, this is SPY. You can look at ES volume. What I really prefer is the cash index itself, which I'll show you here in a minute. This would be sell climax volume. Okay, I have a line drawn here where I looked at previous climax volume. So I have a landmark, and this was just beautiful. Not only the volume, but the candle. This is stop volume, confirmation candle. I went through this in my previous logs. So climax volume is important, but what I'm noticing in this market environment is you're going to see, more likely you're going to see sell climax volume than buy climax volume. You see, like here, there wasn't much volume to speak of. But now, let me take this opportunity now, and let's look at the cash index volume. I'm looking at, this is what I'm looking at here. You can't see my annotation too well. But here we did have some sell climax volume. Over here it wasn't much. There wasn't much of a pullback either to note. And then there wasn't any sell climax volume. But there, it did pick up a little bit. This was pretty obvious. This was actually a beautiful indication here. You had a little bit of an upthrust doji type of candle and this spike up on the cash index. That was just picture perfect. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking for. That doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna happen, but that's what I mean by I want to trade as close to the volume as humanly possible, and that's my my strategy. So here I'm looking at this is just really low humdrum volume there. Point of control, this is on a 6-month chart, is down here. And we're growing this flat base right on this, right on this growing volume node. So we are growing volume by price at these levels, which is interesting. Also wrote here that the low volume is also a lack of buyers that are interested, as well as no one wants to sell either. So that's what I'm seeing there. I'm seeing also on the intraday this, you got price selling off on lower volume and then price going up on increasing volume can be looked at intraday as bullish. And then the monthly composite, here's where I'm just, got a half of a month into this composite. It's, as I suspected, we were going to find support off of these previous value areas and top of the composites for the previous 2 months. Saying soft support at the current TPO, and then here's our 3-month volume point of control where I think we'll find some stiffer, more firm support. And on the weekly is really, this is a very symmetrical distribution bell curve here. So prices visited quite, a lot of the range. Looking at the top of the bottom to the bottom of the composite, you can see where price has felt just about everywhere it can, and then it's showing the biggest support, I think, off of these, the previous value area. That's where support's going on. Daily, this is your flat base here. You've got overlapping the playground. Now Thursday we had a pretty wide range, and then Friday was just very, very symmetrical distribution bell curve, and the value area is contracting. Okay, so that may be a sign that it's setting up for a move. That's what I'm seeing in volume. We got a low VIX. I think U.S. Treasuries now are showing a little bit of strength returning here. We're seeing this is a kind of a round bottom. Okay, not quite yet. I suspect we're going to see these previous traditional inverse correlations between the stock market, U.S. Treasuries, and the dollar are fading away. As the Fed normalizes monetary policy, I think we're going to see a normalization. It's good for the bond market, the U.S. dollar, and for stocks to all do the same thing. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's actually normal. What else do I have here? I have a U.S. dollar chart. Just a lot of bull flags in here. I think the U.S. dollar could consolidate a little bit. I'm looking at this up-thrusting candle. We've got a above average volume. I think we're going to consolidate down a little bit, which would be a good thing for this bullish U.S. dollar to continue. I don't see any fundamental reasons why the dollar wouldn't continue in front of a Fed rate hike, as well as the current theme too. If we look at this, really shows you the U.S. dollar and HUI, which is gold bugs. So your precious metals are trading just inverse to the U.S. dollar, and that should tell you everything you need to know, really, in terms of why this is happening in the commodities market. You're seeing oil doing the same thing, and in my previous trading log, I gave just kind of a trading idea, maybe a little bit late of a trading idea, but let's see. I think there's an opportunity to capitalize on stocks that will fare well on a stronger U.S. dollar. One of the examples I come up with, Sasco. I think that it's heavily tied to commodities. They depend on the price of fuel and food costs. So that's something I thought, I'm not into it yet. I was too tied to into positions to go after that one when it was a good time. Now it's just up too high. That's just on my market correction shopping list. So that's something I'm looking out for. The other thing now in volume here, to get a better idea of buying and selling climaxes, I'm looking at the cash index. So that's something else. Besides the SPY, the ES, it's always good to look at this other stuff too. So what else do I have? Where am I going? I think that's probably a video. Open up. Here's my current portfolio, and you're looking at this these high percentages here on these option contracts. I got some Norfolk Southern, I got some Lockheed, Bristol Myers, Y is Forestry. Got one last index option that it's November. I'll be getting rid of it this coming week. You know, these were names that were, when the market was going down, they were showing strength. Hell, Bristol Myers was swimming upstream when you know we were getting that correction. And you're probably wondering, like, Mark, why don't you sell? Like I said, I sold. I got all my principal out, so these are just remaining contracts. That's kind of a tactic. You know, you protect your profits, you get your principal out, and you can maximize gains this way. And that's all I got. That's a video. Don't forget to check out HotStockMarket.com, and I'll see you all there.